Very lucky to have Abaddon from Venom Inc on the phone. Abaddon, thanks for taking my call.
No worries, man. Thank you very much for calling.
No problems at all. Now, if I could just take you back very briefly, about 1989 to 1992, you boys were Venom. What do you remember about those times?
I remember that myself and Eric Cook, Venom's manager at the time, were down with Music for Nations with Martin Hooker, doing some deals for our label, and Martin said, "But what about doing a Venom album?" And Venom had split up at the time, and we said, "Well, you know, we don't want to work with Kronos anymore." He said, "Okay, well, what about another singer?" And I said, "Well, I never thought about that. You know, Kronos was a singer in Venom, and that was the end of that." I said, "I've never really thought about it." He said, "Well, what's Jeff doing? What's Mantis doing?" And I was like, "Well, he's doing his own thing." But we can have a word with him, you know. And I spoke to Tony Dolan, who was in Atomcraft at the time. And me and Tony were friends, you know. We drank together, we went to the pub together. And I said, "You know, what you're doing at Atomcraft isn't a million miles away from Venom." And his face, you know, his jaw kind of hit the floor, and he went, "Are you talking about doing something again with Venom?" I said, "Yeah, but, you know, I'd need to speak to Jeff." And he says, "Well, I speak to Jeff all the time, you know." And so we put the band together with Tony singing, mainly because it wasn't because I particularly wanted to do it and Jeff didn't want to do it. Jeff had to be convinced. But Tony was such a huge Venom fan that once we started, he kind of picked the ball up, same as he has done with Venom Inc. He picked the ball up and ran with it. And me and Jeff kind of went along with that. And, you know, we did the album Primeval, which was a big success. It's very much my favorite album. And we did Temples of Ice and Wastelands. And we had 10 years of touring successfully around Europe and America, and 3 albums and a couple of singles and videos, you know. So we were very proud of it, and we did very well with it.
Before we get to the Venom Inc part and the reunion, if you like, what were you doing in the lead up to this time around?
I had very much fallen out of love with the music industry. I had a recording studio leading up to the year 2000, which went broke. It was in a stately home, and I was living there. It was a huge place, and I was living there at the time. So I lost my business. I lost my home because of that, and I lost my marriage fell down because of that. So I very much took myself away from the music industry. I was still playing a little bit with some guys and doing some songs just because it's fun. It went very much back to like being in a rehearsal room rather than live stuff or videos or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much was pretty much you know, not really wanting to get into anything and just concentrating on being well and looking after our family, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Now take us to the lead up to the Keep It True festival in 2015. How did that come about?
It came about because, like in life, you know, like my dad used to have this saying, and he said that life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. And what I was doing was I was at a festival in Newcastle where I live with some friends drinking, watching this metal festival called Brofest. And Tony Dolan was there with his band, Atomcraft, and it was a reunion thing. It was a new wave of British heavy metal thing, and Tony was there. And halfway through, he got Jeff up to play Die Hard, the Venom song. And I was standing at the bar having a drink, and these 2 German guys were there, and they had black metal patches on their back. And they turned around and looked at me as if like to say, why don't you get up? And I just shrugged my shoulder and said, I've no idea, nobody asked me. Well, one of these guys was the promoter of the Keep It True festival, Oliver Weisenheimer.
Okay.
And Oliver contacted me. That was in February. Oliver contacted me in March and said, "Look, I do this festival in April called Keep It True, and Empire of Evil, Tony Dolan and Jeff Dunn are playing.
Yeah.
Will you, if I pay for your flight and I pay for your hotel and I give you some booze money?" And it was the booze money that turned me on. So he immediately agreed to come across and do it. So I went over there and got pissed. And he he picked me up at the airport and whatnot, and Jeff was very much against doing it. He was very proud of his band Empire of Evil, and they were doing quite good. So he didn't want anything to get in the way.
Yeah.
Basically, they played half their set, which included 3 Venom songs they played with their new drummer, who was a very good, very excellent drummer. And I thought, oh, wow, I haven't played for like 20 years or 10 years or something stupid, and I'm going to make a fool of myself. And we got up and we just instantly got into the groove. We hadn't rehearsed. Jeff didn't live in England. Tony doesn't live in Newcastle anymore. And we instantly got into the groove and we did 6 songs, and the crowd went fucking crazy.
Yeah. And
it was only later than that Jeff admitted that the sound of Venom, even though the band Empire of Evil had played 3 Venom songs, and there were only 3 members, and 2 of them were Tony and Jeff. Yeah. It was only the drummer that changed, but the whole feel of the band changed when I started playing. And I can't tell you why. I'm not saying that I understand what it was about a different drummer that could make the whole thing sound different, but it just did.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that's, people have been ringing the phone and saying, if you're going to keep it true, will you play in China? Will you play in Japan? Will you play in South America?
Yeah.
And we've just said yes to everybody and just gone for it,
So was it a quick decision to sort of keep going once this sort of got some wheels?
After that it was, because I think Tony and Jeff realised that Empire of Evil were doing okay, but to get, the world started ringing his phone and just saying, if you're playing again with Abaddon and you're going to do those songs in that old school style, then we've got fans that want to see that. And the phone hasn't stopped since, and we've just gone around and around and around. The only place we haven't been is probably Australia and New Zealand, which we're looking to put in 2018.
Good, because I've been already asked about that. Ask them if they're coming to Australia, they say.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's something that we've been trying to do all of this year, and it's coming together as we speak.
Excellent.
And hopefully it'll be early on next year.
Excellent. Tell me how you decided on the name, for starters, Venom Inc. How did that come about?
Well, when the lads were playing as Empire of Evil, the promoters obviously would say, featuring Jeff Magnus and Tony Dolan from Venom, and they would use my logo, the Venom logo. Now, Kronos has still got a band called Venom, so he sent them official letters telling them to stop and desist and don't use that name, which they duly did. So when I joined, all the promoters wanted to use the Venom logo again.
Yeah.
And Jeff was against calling it Venom anything. He wanted to call it Iron and Steel because of the bullshit he'd had off Kronos.
Yeah.
So I said, hang on, I can't be told not to use my own logo. And I can't turn around, when promoters turn around and say to me, hang on, it's your logo and I'm promoting you, how can't I use it? I've got to turn around to them and say, because Kronos says. I think that's bullshit. If they want to put Venom on, they can put Venom on. I don't fucking care. So we had a little bit of an argument back and forth, and Jeff came back and said, what if we call it Venom Inc? I think Tony maybe thought of that. What if we call it Venom Inc? And I said, I don't care, as long as it's got the fucking logo on and people know who we are.
Yeah,
it's pointless turning up, with a fucking mask on and a black hat and pretending not to be me. Yeah. That's ludicrous.
Yeah.
So, and we did it. We got 2 more letters off Kronos' lawyers, which we answered back and told them in no uncertain terms, could we not use the logo or the name? But if you wanted to push it further, then I would take it to a point where he couldn't use the name.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, he was maybe 3 albums into a deal with a label who would have fucking sacked him instantly and sacked the band instantly had that have happened. So, and to be fair, it could have gone on forever and cost us all money that we don't have. So we just agreed to disagree and say we're both going to call it this. Did
you feel any added pressure having the name Venom in there?
Because when we started playing, it felt very natural.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any, and people instantly said, it sounds like Venom. You are Venom. This is it. This is what we wanted to hear.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we want. Thank you for this. So any pressure that there might have been instantly dissipated under the guise of us continually playing live, night after night after night after night, and we just didn't stop. We just went for it, and there was no. You get some people who say, this isn't the right Venom and Venom should have Kronos in it and all this kind of thing. Say, well, that's great. What you've got now is both bands on the table, take one or take the other, or by all means, take fucking both.
Yeah.
You know, we've got an album out. Conrad's going to have an album out. Conrad will be playing live, and I'll urge you all to go see him. Go and see the fucking band. Go and see them. They still play some of those old songs. Go and see them. Go and see both. Come and see us. Come and have a drink, you know.
Yeah, okay. Now, you recorded an album which will be out very soon. Tell us about the preparation for that.
It was it wasn't recorded in the way that I would have particularly done it. It was the three of us, as I said, live in different parts of the world. I was sent a load of guitar riffs, which I hadn't heard before. I was in the studio in Newcastle by myself, and it was very very clinical, which isn't my way of doing things. I like to get, you know, three guys in a garage and beat the shit out of it. And I was very sceptical that the album would sound like Venom. After I finished the drum tracks, I would send them back every night, do maybe two songs, 3 songs a day. But it was all very clinical way of doing it. It's only been since I've heard the album as a finished entity that I can really hear now, because I didn't have any lyrics. I didn't know where the choruses were or where middle eights were. I could only guess.
Yeah,
so it was a very weird way of doing things. So the fact that it now, when I look back, I listen to Primeval, and that doesn't sound like Welcome to Hell, but both sound like Venom. So when I listen to Ave and I listen back to Primeval and Welcome to Hell, although they all sound sonically different, they all sound like Venom. You know, this album doesn't sound necessarily like an Ozzy Osbourne album or a Dio album. It sounds like Venom. So that's you know, it's just a different sounding Venom album.
Yeah, who wrote all the music? Was it shared around?
Yeah, shared around, but mostly down to Jeff and Tony. I did send some songs back the other way, which didn't go down very favourably.
Yeah.
Had we all been in the studio together, I could have put some of my stuff across much better, but it didn't go down that way.
Yeah. Okay. It is a bit of a weird way to do it. What's your favourite songs on the album? I
like Black and Roll. I like Preacher Man, and I like Dein Fleisch. They're my favourite tracks. What will happen though with this album is we've been playing Ave Satanas. We've played that twice now live. And what's going to happen is the album is going to find its own identity. These songs are going to find their own identity once we play them live. That's going to be where they're going to change.
Yeah.
And it's something that I used to like. I'm a music fan. I love Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, you know, and I used to love getting live versions of Space Truckin' and Strange Kind of Woman. They were always different live to what they were on the records.
Yeah.
You know, on the studio albums. So I think we've become the type of band that I like. Whereby, you know, you get the live version, you say, oh wow, you know, I didn't hear that song properly from the album,
yeah.
You know, the studio album, but live, wow, I get it. I get where the power comes in, and as a drummer, that's something that I can bring to the table again, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And how are we pronouncing the name of this album?
Ave Satanas. The album is Ave. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's coming out on August 11th on Nuclear Blast. Looking forward to that.
It is. Very much so. It's a very exciting time for the band. You know, the first album with any label deal, obviously, as you know, the label's right behind it, and right behind the band, and they want us to work hard. We're doing English dates, which we've never done before. We've never done a British tour before, so we're doing that. We're back in America in September. We've got 5 weeks in America in September. And then we've got the English dates in November, and then we want to be down with you guys early on 2018, and I cannot wait to get down there. It's just been a fantastic time to be in a band, you know, because like with the rise of the underground metal scene at the same time as the social media has come along this way, and everybody is just one big fucking family. It doesn't matter where you live anymore. It's only a plane flight away, you know, and it's fucking phenomenal, man. It's great. We just played in Slovenia, in this natural gully in the middle of the Alps. We came off on Sunday night, and for 2 days I hadn't slept, and I travelled home, and it really hits you, you know, how far you've travelled and how hard it was.
Yeah.
But while you're there, and the feedback from all the fans, the adrenaline is gigantic, and it just keeps you going, man. It just feels like so fresh to be doing this. Feels great.
Excellent. Abaddon, absolutely magnificent talking to you tonight. Thanks for taking my call. I know we had a few phone problems, but looking forward to the release of RV on August the 11th. Fantastic new album for Venom Inc. Congratulations on the album. Congratulations on how you've been going so far, and hopefully we'll see you down here in Australia soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all this, man. And when we're down there, the drinks are on me.